Can you tell us about the very latest with John Wall?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm told that John Wall plans to sign with the LA Clippers after agreeing tonight to a contract buyout with the Houston Rockets. He had a year left on his deal. And now I'm told Wall's intentions are to sign with the Clippers and join a team that may be as talented as any in the NBA, with Kawhi Leonard back next season, a healthy Paul George, and all the supplemental pieces around him. Now you add John Wall to that team without being asked to carry a significant load there, be able to be a player.
Paul George. Oh my goodness! Rookie initiation. Well, this is the rookie initiation.
Yo, what's good with y'all, man? It's Swervo Hoops, and I'm coming at y'all with another video, man. You already know what it is, and we about to be talking about some hoops, you feel me? I know I'm just a bit late, but this offseason, John Wall is deciding to take his talents over to LA, and he is deciding to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers for a 2-year, $13 million deal. If y'all remember, I did make a video a couple months ago, and he was in the trade rumors. I made a video stating what teams would be the best fit for John Wall, and within those teams, I did say the Clippers would be a really good fit for him. Now that they would just be able to sign him to a reasonable contract instead of giving up assets up for him, they'll basically just be receiving the talent that they needed at that point guard spot. That being said, the only concern with this signing would really be the matter of John Wall's health throughout the season. In the last 5 years, John Wall has yet to play more than half an NBA season. And from the last season, we've witnessed him where he played about 40 games for the Rockets. Though he averaged 20 points, and not only did he have a career high usage rate that season, but he had career low shooting splits from the field at the basket. And with John Wall missing a significant portion of the 2019 season and missing the entire 2020 season due to his Achilles heel injury, it fueled the chip on John Wall's shoulder to prove to people that he is still the John Wall that fans know and love. Because of the narratives that were being put out around that time, and it was just debatable whether he was one of the top point guards of the league anymore and whether his skill set contributed towards winning, given the contract that he had just received from the Wizards prior. But with John Wall's excessive dominance on the ball, it was stunting a lot of the growth of the young players that the Rockets were trying to mold into future stars. And with them heading into a rebuild process and an aging John Wall who is now injury prone, getting paid like a top 10 player. That being said, Houston made the most logical business decision in buying out John Wall's $40 million contract. And this just helps them continue their rebuild process and gives more opportunity to their younger players on the offensive end. John Wall's end, however, not only do I believe this gives him an even better opportunity to compete in the finals, but it also gives him a chance to prove that he got something left in the tank and can make a significant impact in a winning situation. I do believe John Wall's playmaking abilities will continue to flourish in LA for the simple fact that this is undoubtedly the best roster he's ever played on, alongside two elite shot creators in Paul George and Kawhi. And not only that, but he would also be playing alongside the best floor spacing team in the league right now. Last season, the Clippers shot 37% from the three as a team, with Kawhi missing the entire season and Paul George missing a significant amount of games this year. And seasons prior to that, they've always been amongst the top of the league in just three-point percentage in general. They have shooters like Robert Covington on the team. Batum coming back next year on a 2-year deal. Reggie Jackson's a bit inconsistent from out there, but in the prior season, he shot 40% from out there as well. But his volume increased this season. You have Luke Kennard, who's above 40% from 3. Marcus Morris, who's above average from 3. You have Terrence Mann, even though he doesn't shoot it often, he shoots about a league average percentage from 3. And Norman Powell, who's another 40% three-point shooter. And then not to mention Kawhi and Paul George, who's above average three-point shooters as well. You also add a tall big man in Zubac, who John Wall can run pick and roll with and figure out and within that offense. So although John Wall has a history of typically having a high usage rate, does have moments where he does over dribble into a shot clock, and occasionally he'll have some questionable shot selection within the mid-range area. Though in John Wall's past, he always had a good reputation for being one of the better two-way guards in the league. I do believe due to his injury history and just his athleticism declining at this point in his career, that I do expect to see some inconsistencies on that end of the floor. But luckily, being on a roster like LA with a lot of versatile defensive players, I do believe being coached by a disciplined defensive-minded coach and playing on a roster that was a top 10 defense last regular season will be able to make up for some of the lapses in John Wall's defensive consistency at times. And being that the Clippers organization has such a team-oriented winner's mentality type of approach, and though they've been without their stars consistently in the past few seasons, with or without Paul George, though the offensive lineups would lack the shot creation, their offense really always does a good job at getting the best possible shot in a possession, whether it's getting good looks from 3 for their perimeter shooters or finishing around the basket and getting free throws at the line. John Wall will benefit from playing within an offensive system like this because not only does it put less pressure on him to create a shot for himself, which does lead to some bad shot selections from John Wall sometimes, but this is the most floor spacing that he has ever had. And assuming that John Wall won't be playing a large chunk of his minutes alongside Zubac in certain lineups, when those two aren't playing together, I do assume that the Clippers will run more of a 5-out system. And not only does that give him more room to attack the basket, get to the free throw line and finish around the rim, but he'll always have a shooter to kick it out to outside of Zubac in certain lineups. And even if we don't see a peak John Wall on the offensive or defensive end, I do believe that a system coached by Ty Lue and the depth of this Clippers roster, it would make up for any potential lapses we would see from John Wall, especially on the defensive end. However, I do believe it is fair to question whether John Wall deserves a starting spot in the starting 5 or whether he would contribute better coming off the bench, especially with concerns regarding his injury history. Me personally, I think John Wall should start until proven otherwise. If he's so declined to a point where he would just be better running with a second unit, then so be it. Some NBA fans would make the argument that some older all-stars can thrive on a role on a championship contending team if they just provided a spark for the second unit of that team by coming off the bench and being a reliable threat to an opposing team's second unit. Not only would this provide a different level of confidence for the team's second unit, but it would also prolong the longevity of John Wall's career by him getting less minutes by having more of a 6-man kind of role. I have a good feeling that as a result of John Wall playing with the Clippers as well, that we're going to see some part of his game become significantly more efficient, whether it's him averaging less turnovers, whether it's him being more consistent on the defensive end, or whether it be his off-ball movement on offense, being that he would be playing alongside more efficient shot creators and he isn't relied on as much on this roster to control the offense and handle a large portion of the ball handling duties. He could possibly develop more of a consistent outside shot playing on this team, because especially on this roster where he will probably be getting more catch and shoot opportunities than ever, and I'm assuming defenders will be guarding him with some Ben Simmons treatment, just for the simple fact that it's pretty well known John Wall isn't the best shooter at this point in his career. But him playing alongside such elite offensive players like Paul George and Kawhi and playing off of the gravity that they will draw, John Wall is no longer the number 1 or 2 option that defenses will have to worry about. So he'll be being left open or sagged off a lot of the times on offense. This would be a perfect situation for him to really develop some type of catch and shoot game, or whether it's a pull-up mid-range. Specifically in that area of John Wall's game, I do feel that it would benefit him the most if he elevated that part of his game, especially in a Clippers system that is very adept at getting their players very good looks from three. That's a good, really good pickup for the Clippers to get, with giving little to nothing for him. And before this video ends, I do want to give a huge props to the Clippers and how they put together their team and how they develop their rosters. It's been well known for the past 2-3 years now that the Clippers have a roster that can compete. It's just been long awaited to see their star duo be healthy long enough for them to do so. Damn near made the playoffs this season, and that was without their two best players for the majority of it, so them just adding additional talent. Yeah, they were a threat without John Wall, and they're even more of a threat with him. So this team is still a championship contending team in my books. And to be honest, they're one of the favorites coming out of the West. I mean, of course, we got the Nuggets, if they're healthy, the Mavs doing what they're doing, Golden State, of course, the reigning champs. You got Phoenix still going to probably be a threat. The defensive versatility that this roster has, because I forgot Covington, when you got Kawhi, Paul George, Terrence Mann. I mean, the versatility of this team is amazing, and they're really going to be returning next season with the similar core of players they had heading in from last season. So a lot of teams entering that championship window. But with that being said, like I said, this is the end of this video. It's been Swervo Hoops talking about some hoops, man. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below to show you enjoyed it, you feel me? Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well, man. We get litty in this section. And until next time, y'all, I'ma holla at y'all, man. Be easy.